Hi, beautiful people. I hope you're all really well. Welcome back to my channel and to another pick a card reading. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. Guys, if you have not been to my channel before, if you've not done a pick a card reading before, this is how it works. So today's pick a card, the question is, why is it that you are still single? Okay, so this is all about finding out why you're still single. So just be advised that if you haven't watched any of my readings before, I'm a very, very honest reader. I don't cherry pick my cards. I tell you what messages are meant to come through. So just be ready for that, okay? I'm not going to sort of wrap things in bubble for you. And this is all about learning about yourself and getting some more clarity around the questions that you guys asked me to find out about, okay, so that we can all grow. Okay, so I think you know where I'm going with this, guys. All right, now if you haven't done this before, what you need to do is I'm going to be showing you 3 different piles of cards for you guys to choose from in order to get the message it is that you need. So as I said before, today's message or tonight's message, wherever you are, is why are you still single? Let's find out what's going on, what energies are blocking you, and where you can sort of go from that, because we're going to get a card of advice for you guys as well. All right, so here are the 3 piles of cards you have to choose from. So we have, pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Now, as I always say, guys, you cannot pick the wrong pile of cards, okay? So don't worry too much. Whatever message you're meant to get, you will get, okay? Now, if you need to spend a little bit more time working out which pile of cards you want to choose, I advise that you pause the video because I'm about to start the reading. Okay guys, if this is the pile of cards you chose, this is pile 1 and this is your reading. We're now going to find out why it is that you are still single, okay? So these are the cards I got for you guys. And now I'm going to explain to you exactly what they mean and the message that it is that you need, okay? So to start off with, we have the 10 of Pentacles. So the 10 of Pentacles is telling me that you've definitely been looking for a connection. You are most definitely looking for a relationship and something really solid, in which there's financial stability in order for you to have a comfortable life with yourself and with someone else, okay? You are really in search for that, and I feel like you've been looking for this for quite a while now. Now, we have the Lovers clarifying this. So what this is telling me is that you've been looking for a while because you're very particular with who it is that you want to commit to. And I feel sometimes you have issues around choosing who is going to be a good partner for you or who potentially is going to be a good partner. But this is just really reiterating that this is something that you really want. Now, what I'm also picking up here is that I feel like sometimes you might have unrealistic expectations of what a relationship should be like or what a connection should be like. So in saying this, we all need to keep in mind that no relationship or no partnership is perfect. Now, we definitely all have deal breakers, and I get that. But sometimes I think some of us spend too much time sort of looking, hoping to find perfection. And sometimes we can miss out on really good opportunities because we are looking for perfection. I think also perhaps you guys maybe have been perhaps too focused on money and too focused on having all of these things set up before you actually find the right person. So that sort of ties in with timing factor, you know. I know a lot of people like to ideally, and I'm going to say this is more so for men as well, and I know it's a generalization and everyone's really different, but there's a lot of people, and this is women too, but I think you know what where I'm going with this when I tell you what I'm about to say. And that is, some people feel like they already need to be at a point where they have everything that they need and that they're financially stable before they can find the right lover or the right partner. So, but this isn't always true. And I feel like if this is something you're waiting to happen, it's like you're waiting to have enough money, you're waiting to set up a nice house, you're waiting for this and that. That's a blockage in itself, because if you don't feel like you're already financially stable and you're already ready for a relationship, then you're going to block a potentially really good relationship. And I think there is no right time for anything. I feel like you can never really be ready for anything, if that makes sense, and it's sometimes when we are in that energy that we do miss out on things that could be really good for us. So that's what I'm picking up here, guys. Definitely you have this ideal, you definitely want a partnership. Sometimes I think there's this mixture of waiting for the perfect person or waiting for the perfect time, and it doesn't always work out that way. You can be in a partnership and build an empire together. You don't have to already be well established or have lots of money to find a good quality relationship. You can find, and I mean, if you think, I'm going to get you guys to look at it this way. If you think that that's going to be the right thing to attract the right person into your life, maybe you need to reconsider that, because as I said before, you can build an empire with someone else. It isn't always about how much money you have and what things you have. Okay. It's about the connection, and it's about whether two people can do that together, because two people can build an empire together. So don't miss out on something awesome just because you feel like you're not financially ready and that you're waiting to be ready. Okay. You need to be getting into it and allowing things to flow. And if you meet someone that wants to build an empire with you, go for it. Don't be afraid of the money side of things or having to wait for things to be comfortable. That's just what I'm really picking up for you guys. Now, we then have the Seven of Pentacles. So what I'm getting here is I feel that it's kind of reiterating what the other cards were saying, that I do feel like you spend a lot of time sort of reviewing partnerships or reviewing people. You're spending a lot of time, I think, in your life reviewing where you're at. And I'm really getting financially as well with money, And it's kind of like, I feel like you guys have this fantasy or this ideal of really, as I said before, being well established and having everything before being able to settle down or find the right person, or you will find the right person, or you will, start a connection with someone once this miracle has happened, which is finding the unicorn, which is you going, oh, okay, I'm finally ready now to have something really beautiful come into my life. It doesn't always work like that. Plans don't always, I think you know what I'm trying to say here. We can have a plan in our head, but things can really quickly change. And, some people might say, oh, I want to be married by the time I'm 30, or I want to have a kid by the time I'm 27, or, I want to have my first house by the time I'm whatever age. Okay. I think it's really awesome to have plans and goals, but I think it's really important to be really open-minded to when these things might or might not happen, because different people's circumstances are different. So what this is really telling me is I do feel like you do spend a little bit too much time worrying about that sort of stuff. And it's kind of like you're waiting for the perfect moment, as I said before, for things to happen, but it doesn't work like that. Because you could be waiting till you're 100, right? And you never know what's going to happen. So it's really about keeping an open mind. Now, we've got the Five of Pentacles clarifying this. This is just really marrying into the story here. So you guys have this fear around having a lack of money, I'm also picking up that you might fear being in a partnership with someone who doesn't have money, or who you might have to carry, if that makes sense. that perhaps the relationship is going to be out of balance, you know, that you're not going to be able to perhaps bring in enough money, or, you know, it's a lot of this I feel is around money and security, and you don't want to have a life where you don't have money, and I totally get that. But at the same time, I think it's really important to keep in mind that you can lose everything in a second. You know, like, if you look at it realistically, anything could happen at any time, you know. And look, don't get me wrong, I think it's really good to review. As I said before, it's really good to plan. It's really good to be responsible and have a nest egg and have savings and all that kind of stuff, and be established and feel comfortable within yourself. That's awesome. But it's about finding that balance, I feel, between worrying too much about having nothing, you know, and worrying too much about not having enough, which is kind of the same thing when you think about it. But I think you know what I'm trying to say. This is really what's really blocking you guys, and what's keeping you single is this fear of not having enough, this fear of missing out, you know, this fear of not finding perfection, or things not happening in the perfect timeline you want them to be. And it's kind of like just waiting for things to happen. Like, it might be like, oh, I'm waiting till I have enough money, I'm waiting till I get a new job, I'm waiting till this. Doesn't always work out that way, okay? The person that's for you is not going to be worried about that type of stuff, okay? They're not going to be, you know. And do you really want to be with someone that's that enthralled in how much money you have? It's good to have money. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't allow it to block you from finding a really good connection, because that's what you want. And it's obviously what you want, because that's why you're watching this video, right? Okay, guys, we have the King of Wands up next. So what this is telling me, represents, you know, this is a king, this is a man, but it can be man or woman. It's just the energy, because I don't know if you're a guy or a girl watching this, okay? So let's go with the energy. So what this is telling me is that what's blocking you and what's stopping you from finding a really good partnership is the fact that sometimes I think that you can be, you can kind of think that you're a little bit like this person, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with being in this energy. Positive traits about the King of Wands is they're charismatic, they're really confident, they know what they want, they're creative, they're passionate, they're very much in their power, right? And that's awesome. The other things that can block the King of Wands is things like the fact that they can be a little bit stubborn, the fact that they can sometimes think that they know everything, and the fact that they can sort of be too enthralled by the passions of things. You know, sometimes they can worry too much about how something looks, you know, rather than delving a little bit deeper into people or things, okay? So what's blocking you is these sort of weaker traits of, yeah, thinking that you sort of know everything, holding on to grudges, yeah, and just kind of just like waiting for this perfect thing to come in, you know. And it's not, you know, it's not how it always works, right? It's about letting go of that control. Now, we then have the Six of Cups clarifying this. So what this is telling me is that I feel like you guys are probably also perhaps a little bit stuck in the past. Maybe you reminisce a lot about things that have happened in the past. Maybe you compare connections or relationships with people from the past as well, and maybe that's why you can sometimes subconsciously, maybe if you're not aware of it, be a little bit controlling, because I do feel like there's either something from the past, or there's something about your childhood or a relationship or a connection in the past that you kind of haven't been able to let go of. You know, it's kind of like reminiscing about good times and how things could have or should have been, but they didn't work out, right? So that's something that I feel like you guys really need to let go of as well. Now, the word of advice, I mean, all of this is kind of, I don't like to call it advice, but they're messages. It's all really relevant, but this is the topper. So we have the Tower as your last word of advice, okay? So what this is really telling me is that it kind of feels to me like what's really blocking you guys is the fact that you're so adamant in what it is that you think is right or how you think a relationship should be. And as you're so solid in thinking that the only way that you're going to be able to change is when something crumbles. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. Like, I don't want you to sort of get to a breaking point where you just kind of feel like you lose all faith and hope just because you're unable to sort of let go of these things that you need to let go of and to push through these blockages that you have. Because I do feel like you will eventually get to this point if there isn't some sort of like mindfulness happening in regards to connections, right? So it's all just about taking in everything that we've spoken about, and it's about really letting yourself break down in a way that you need to let old ways of thinking and old habits break down in order for there to be the new, in order for you to rebuild a really beautiful solid foundation. You really this reading is to shake you up. This reading is to shake you up to your core and to really review what it is that you need to do, and we've just discussed that, right? So in summary, a relationship for you guys is mega important. We can see that, as I've said. I think it's almost like you guys are just waiting for the perfect time. It's like, I kind of feel like money might be about this as well, or just, it's kind of like you're waiting for stability and for the right moment and for everything just to be, this has to happen before this can happen, and this has to happen before this can happen, and it has to be the perfect time at the perfect place. And because I don't want to not have money, I don't want to, feel like I'm equal to my partner. All these like high ideals that you're really stubborn about, and that you sort of hold in your mind subconsciously, maybe if you're not aware of it, and it really blocks you. As well as things that have happened to you in the past, and perhaps reminiscing about other connections that didn't work that you were quite passionate about. They're things you really need to move on from. And in order for you to really get to that solid foundation that you want, you're really going to need to start, breaking down your old thought patterns, your way of seeing things. And because there can't be change if there isn't change within you, right? So pile one, I hope that resonated. I hope that clarified some things for you. Please feel free to leave feedback and comments below. If you would like a more in-depth reading, you can find all my details in the description box below. If you want to donate to my channel, you're more than welcome to. If you'd like to like, share, and subscribe this video, that would be awesome. And lots of love, light, and blessings to you, pile one. Okay, let's get on to pile two. If these are the cards you chose, this is your reading, guys. So these are the cards I got for you. Let's get into it. So to start off with, we have the King of Pentacles. So as I said before, man or woman, it doesn't matter. The energy is what it's about. So what's blocking you is the fact that the King of Pentacles is like earth energy, right? So I feel like this is something that you haven't been following through with, and you don't perhaps have a balance in. I kind of feel like you guys are in that energy of kind of like being a little bit smug, and kind of like thinking like, yeah, I've got my stuff together and I know what I want, right? I do feel like you guys are in a good place financially. I feel like you guys are pretty solid. But what's blocking you is the fact that I feel like you guys are just attracting the wrong type of people to yourself. I feel like you guys, we have the Queen of Wands. This can be a man or a woman. I kind of feel like you guys are really more so going for people that you find really charismatic, really creative and interesting and passionate. And there's nothing wrong with people that have that type of energy, okay, at all. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I kind of feel like perhaps sometimes you guys get too transfixed by how things look. and you can get carried away by the idea of someone and the passion that someone might have, okay? You like really passionate people, man or woman, whatever resonates. And there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes I feel like, you get too carried away with this type of energy and you sort of don't look beyond that, if that makes sense. So it's like you don't look beyond the exterior. So it's kind of like you look at someone and you go, wow, they're really amazing and they're beautiful, but you're not taking the time to really get to know them as people. And so then you get disappointed because it's just like, oh, well, they were really beautiful on the exterior and I thought it was amazing. And then you sort of like, putting energy into this connection and it's not working out. That's just really what I'm picking up for you guys. And the thing is that you do want something really solid, but if you're just going, for what something entirely on what something looks like, without getting to know if there's more depth to that person, then it's gonna, make your life difficult and you're not going to be able to find someone solid to settle down with, Not that I'm saying that people that are passionate and beautiful and creative aren't solid people and you can't have solid relationships with them, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's about looking beyond that. And it's also about being able to really commit yourself, This is all about committing to people. This is all about loyalty and faith. This is all earth energy, guys. So it's about you being willing to commit as well, and finding the right person to commit to, not just getting carried away with passion. Now we then have strength. So what I'm really picking up here is I feel like you guys are lacking in your ability to find the strength to really make yourself happy and to make yourself strong enough that you can find the right person you need. Now, the reason I say that is because we have the sun clarifying. So what I'm picking up here is that you guys want happiness, and I think that you're lacking self-happiness. You're not happy. You're not happy enough within yourself, okay? So, and I feel like that's why you attract people like this. And I feel like that's why you really get drawn into people that have got really like beautiful energy and high energy and that are passionate and interesting and creative. And there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes, they can be all those amazing things, but they cannot want to commit to you, or they cannot be ready to commit to you, or they're just, they're just a bit sort of like unsure, or they're hard to catch, if that makes sense. So if you have this, you need to find the strength to make yourself happy first, because once you make yourself happy first, if someone else isn't bringing to the party what it is you need, which is, I feel like you want someone really committed and solid and stable, then it's going to be hard for you, because you're going to be like, oh, I'm sorry guys, what I'm basically saying here in summary is that you really need to be filling your cup up first. You really need to be working on your own self-love and your own self-happiness and making yourself really happy first, in order to be able to get the right connection that you guys need, okay? We then have the Four of Wands. So what this is telling me is that there needs to be a review of the way that you see connections and how you see how people should be, or how relationships should be, okay? We then have the Three of Pentacles. So yeah, I do feel like that you're probably at a stage where you need to be thinking more about this, thinking more about what type of connection is really going to make you happy. I kind of, like I said before, I kind of think that you guys are really into really beautiful, passionate people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think sometimes it can blindside you, and that's why you're not attracting the right people, and you're not committing to the right people, if that makes sense. You're not committing to the right people. You're just sort of getting carried away by your passions. Yeah. So this is really telling me that it's about reviewing the type of partnerships that you want and learning about it. So maybe talking to external people who are wise and have knowledge. So perhaps, you want to go and see a counselor or a life coach like me, right? Or you could, go and talk to people who are unbiased and who have experience and wisdom in relationships, in connections. I wouldn't be advising you to go and talk to people that, who are really sour about connections, and, are just people that are just always negative about relationships and connections and that sort of type of thing, and that are going to be biased, that they're not good people to talk to. I think you know where I'm going with this. It's kind of like seeking support in being able to have a really good partnership with someone that you want. We then have the Five of Pentacles. You guys really fear not having equal balance in a relationship. I kind of feel like you guys really worry as well about being left in the cold and not being able to rise up to your partner. I kind of feel like sometimes, and that's where I'm getting that real lack of self-worth. Yeah. So yeah, you do fear being left out in the cold. You do fear failing. You do fear just, yeah, and then not being sort of equal give and take in a relationship. You fear someone being above you, or putting someone on a pedestal and then them falling, or someone putting you on a pedestal and you falling. Perhaps you also are concerned about, the financial side of being in a relationship as well. We'd have to dig a bit deeper. But yeah, so pile 2, in summary, I feel like you guys really need to get into that energy of, if you want to find a really good man or woman, you need to embody all the qualities that you're wanting to find in someone else, okay? So if you want someone loyal, you want someone stable, you want someone committed, you need to embody all those things as well, okay? You can't expect something from someone who you can't provide that yourself, okay? You need to remember to get to know people more. Don't just run with passions. Don't just think about, oh, wow, that person's really beautiful, I'm just going to commit to them straight away without even really getting to know them as a person. That's really, really important. I'm really picking up on that. I know that you need chemistry and passion. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying, get to know someone better first. Don't just go purely on what someone looks like, okay? You really need to find the strength to be able to make yourself happy as well, rather than relying on someone else to make you happy. That's so, so important, because that is going to change your whole energy, and it's going to change your whole vibe and the type of people that you're going to be attracting into your life, okay? Now, I do feel like you guys might need a little bit more support or guidance in regards to the type of people that you're choosing, or the type of people that you're attracting. But this is kind of stuff we've already really talked about and established. But you might need a little bit more guidance in that. And as I said before, I'm just recommending talking to people who are unbiased and people that have a lot of knowledge and wisdom within this, okay? But it's more so just about also learning about commitment and just really committing to the right person. But it's also about, being happy within yourself. You guys fear a lot, not living up to standards. You fear like being left out in the cold. I really feel like a lot of this stuff is around a lack of self-worth, okay? So that's something that you really need to be working on. You need to be celebrating yourself and doing things to make you really happy, to raise your vibration, guys. Look, pile 2, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it resonated, and please feel free to leave feedback and comments below. If you would like a more personalized reading, all my details are in the description box below. Lots of love, light, and blessings to you, pile 2. Okay, we're now going to go on to pile 3, guys. Now, if this video runs over, I'll leave a link below for the rest of it, okay? Now, these are the cards I got for you guys. So let's get into it. So we have the Fool. So what I'm picking up here is I feel like what's blocking you is that this feels like more of a very straightforward reading. Some are and some are a little bit more detailed. Anyway, guys, pile 3. You've been in this Fool energy for a very long time. I feel like you're the kind of people that are just always on an adventure. You're always wanting to try new things. Perhaps you've been traveling around a lot. But I just kind of feel like relationships or a connection hasn't been a major priority for you. So that's really starting to take its toll though. We then have the Nine of Pentacles clarifying this. So what this is telling me is that what's blocking you is the fact that you haven't, I don't feel like you guys have found this, which is, I don't feel like you've made the time to establish yourselves well. I feel like you haven't made the time to save enough money, to be self-reliant, to be able to get yourself in a position where you're comfortable. Now, I'm not talking about becoming million or billionaires, but this is more about being in an energy where you feel stable, you feel stable financially, you know, have enough money to eat well, to enjoy life, and to have a good lifestyle and to feel solid, right? Because you've just been in this Fool energy for so long. So, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying life. There's nothing wrong with traveling around. There's nothing wrong with having good times and enjoying different experiences. However, that's starting to take a toll, and that's why you're blocking a really good connection or relationship with someone, because you're not in this energy yet, you know, and it's blocking you because I'm not saying because you need to have a lot of money to attract someone into you, but it's kind of like, I think you know where I'm going here. It's kind of like you need to feel secure within yourself so that you don't have to really rely on someone else, if that makes sense. And it's something that you really want as well. And I kind of feel like you guys are attracted to those type of people. I feel like you're attracted to the type of people that are really well established and that do have the thing going on, you know, because it's something that you want within yourself, and you can definitely make this happen, okay? Now, we then have the Five of Swords. Sorry, guys. We have the Five of Swords. So what this is telling me is that what's blocking you is kind of not taking responsibility for things that have happened in the past, not really learning from connections that have failed, and just sort of walking away from them without really taking into consideration, like I said before, what you've contributed to not make it work out well, you know. It's kind of like you've just gone, oh well, these things happen, people's hearts get broken, I've broken hearts, people have broken my heart, it's a no-win situation. That's how war is, type thing.